Let's find out who's gonna win Draw Week. What's going on, guys? If you want to support our content and pick up this month's amazing Patreon rewards, you can do so at patreon.com/itresolves. If you're interested in custom playmats and sleeves, visit YourPlaymat.com and use code ItResolves10YP for 10% off your entire purchase. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the third and final part of Draw Week. This is the Draw Week Challenge. If you guys do not know what this challenge is, essentially we have tasked all of you amazing people to build a deck with the idea of drawing as many cards in a single turn as possible. Now, we've already had two decks that did exceptionally well, actually. We had Breaded and Fried. I've got stats over here. Breaded and Fried on Monday, who put up a very respectable 12 cards in a single turn, but then Spinoraptor came in and kind of annihilated in game 3 and got 18. So we are going to be looking to beat that today. If you would like to submit a deck for any of these challenges, please feel free to do so. The Discord link is below. There's a challenge submissions channel for you. Also, the winner does get a mystery proxy pack, which is really, really fun. Packed full of really awesome proxies, digital altars that we have created that are normally only available to Patreon people. But all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's deck. And here that deck is. This is brought to us by our amazing Discord member, ModernUro, who has been reliably submitting to these challenge weeks, which I really appreciate. Thank you so much, my friend. This is an interesting one, though. This is the kind of American control deck. Very, very cool. Got a lot of the normal control elements, but it does very crucially have things like Narset, Parter of Veils, and Commit to Memory, which you can use to wheel and then essentially shut down the opponents from being able to draw, which is just really, really powerful. It does have a lot of other draw elements. It's got things that like Cavalier of Flame to kind of finish the game. We've got Fateful Showdown. We have Seagate Restoration, which is a really big one. And then, of course, Memory, and then Chance as well on Leave It to Chance. Very, very interesting. Teferi's Ageless Insight is here as well, so if you would draw a card, you draw 2 instead. Just some really interesting stuff. Valakut Awakening. And then a lot of normal control elements, so Prismari Command being a really, really strong one. Memory Lapse is a nice little counter spell. Ops, Brainstorms, all the fun stuff. We even have Neheb here, which is really, really cool. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you can discard any number of cards and then draw that many, add that much red until the end of the turn. You don't lose mana, which is really cool. So we've got a lot. I'm really curious to see how this one plays out. I have not tested this at all, but ModernUro, thank you very much. I am very excited to try. Just as a heads up and a reminder, 18 is the number to beat. Let's see if we can do it with 3 games with ModernUro's draw submission. All right, guys, and here we are for game number 1, and this is not a super exciting hand, but it does have a Brainstorm. The double Cavalier is a little sketchy, I'll be honest, but I think we're going to give this one a shot. I have no clue what to expect with this deck, like I said, so this is going to be a bit of a surprise for all of us here. I do think we lead on the island. We can Brainstorm, and then Memory Lapse actually is a very good card. It just allows us to hopefully get a little more action going here. So let's see. Can we get a land? No land. That might be a problem. Let's throw these two back. It doesn't really matter the order. That's definitely going to be a problem. But at the very least, we do have the Memory Lapse, and we did draw at least 1 card further. So hopefully... Interesting. So do we want to Memory Lapse it? I think at this point, we're kind of just in Memory Lapse almost everything. Just to stall as much as we can because we know we don't have a land on the top. So let's hope, let's really hope that we get a land. Any land is good. We've got Prismari Command. All right, that's helpful at the very least. We can create some treasure tokens. We can also draw 2 and discard 2. Let's see what happens for now. Very interesting. We do need a white source here at some point for the redemption. We also... we'll need double red at some point as well. All right, I'm gonna take this first. In case they had any kind of like pump spell or anything like that, I figured, you know what, we'll just wait and see. We may end up creating a treasure token here, but we will determine that at a later time. You're gonna get a land. What you got? 2 more vampire tokens. Okay, that's not the end of the world. All right, so I think the play, we definitely need a treasure token, or we need to draw. We could do either of these. I think the right answer is to draw here, and then I feel like we probably should kill one of these, and then we'll draw and discard 2. Okay, we did get a land. That's very, very helpful. Let's get a Cavalier out, and I think it might be commit to memory. Just because this isn't like a true throwaway, we actually get to do some stuff later with that, so that's okay. All right, let's play lands. We can play Teferi's Ageless Insight, which I think is technically like the good setup play here, and then we can Fateful Showdown next turn, potentially. But this is very, very sketchy, I will be honest. A little bit slow, a bad start on our end, and potentially a bad keep, to be honest, but that's okay. We'll see what we can draw. Tristani. Okay, that's very terrifying, to be honest. And they're also gonna gain a lot of life. All right. So what do we want to do? We can just Fateful Showdown. We're gonna draw quite a number of cards if we do that. We should, I guess, opt first because we can Seagate, or hopefully draw a land. So I'm gonna scry that to the bottom, see what we get. And we did get a land. Okay. Let's do this. So far we've drawn 3 cards this turn, technically. There are no basics in the deck. ModernUro, we gotta talk to you, buddy. What the heck? Why'd we do this? All right, there are no basics in the deck. Let's discard. I think we do discard Seagate Restoration as well. I think we just discard all of it, right? So we've drawn 3 cards this turn. We're discarding all these, doesn't matter the order, and then we draw a lot. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we do have to discard 5, but we are up to 15 cards, which is pretty solid. I think you, probably you, you, and another Triome. All right, so let me mark this down because we did get 15 cards. That was a pretty strong start. ModernUro, man, why are we playing with Fabled Passages? I mean, we got some basic lands. We just happen to draw them all, I suppose, but still, come on. We need more basics if we're gonna do that. All right, down to 1. We also need sweepers in this list. But you know what? The goal is to draw. So fair enough. You did the right thing. I can't be mad at that. Can they just kill us? Ooh, Assassin's Trophy. All right, take action. We don't have anything. Fair enough. So it looks like 15 probably is going to be the max that we're going to be able to get, but that's okay. Let's see. I mean, we just Fateful Showdown, I suppose. Discarding everything. We'll deal here. And then we draw a bunch, but it's not going to be enough. And unfortunately, that is going to be game. But you know what? Honestly, 15 cards is not bad. So ModernUro, well done. We are on the board, very, very strongly on the board. Let's see if we can do a little bit better in game 2. All right, guys, here we are for game number 2. This is an okay hand. We've got Memory Lapse in particular. We've got plenty of lands, so I think we'll go ahead and lead on this. I would love to see a white source here, but that's okay. I don't think we've got a plain white source in the deck, which is fine. Let's go ahead. We'll fetch a blue here. This is going to open up Memory Lapse for us, and hopefully, we can counter something very, very important here. Looks like mono black, potentially. Huh. I'm going to let that resolve. I don't particularly care about that. Vampire Neonate. Interesting. Okay. I am going to counter that. That's hilarious. That worked out great, honestly. That could have been a lot worse. All right, so I think the play is, let's do this. Do we want to discard here, or do we just want to hold up Brainstorm? I think the play is just to hold up Brainstorm. We don't have a great option this turn, to be brutally honest, but it looks like the opponent doesn't either, which is kind of nice. Ooh, Neheb. Oh, yes, please. Okay, let's put these two back then. It doesn't matter the order, we're just going to draw them both anyway. Actually, we can Fabled Passage, I suppose, which I am going to do just because we know there are exactly 4 basics since last game, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull that basic now. Let's go ahead and throw Neheb out here, and the assumption is that Neheb is probably going to die, but we will see. Sanctum. What is this list? I'm very curious. Okay. We do need 3 red to get the Cavalier of Flame going. Let's see. Let's do this. I'm gonna discard some things. Let's get you and you, because I'm assuming that kind of has to happen, out of here. This is gonna add a couple of mana to our mana pool, which is good. We're gonna use some of that mana, I think, to just play Cavalier of Flame. So we've drawn 3 cards this turn, essentially. I think we wait, actually, and just submit 0. The reason being, we kind of need to have the blue mana for Seagate Restoration, because that's really going to be our big card this turn, I think. Okay, that's not the end of the world. It's a good card, but it's not the end of the world. All right, so let's do this. We're going to pay the 3. And then here, we're just going to attack with both. Obviously going to take a little bit. That's fine. But we're going to discard at least 1 card, which is going to allow us to Seagate Restoration here. So we do this. It's going to get that. That allows us to then Seagate Restoration, which is going to draw us 1, 2, 3, 4 cards on top of the one we had already drawn. So we're at 5, which is pretty good. All right, so next turn we might be able to really go off. I am going to mark down 5 here, just as a placeholder for the time being. Remember, the number to beat is 18. So far, we're actually doing okay, though. All right, I do wish we had... Oh. Well, that's not very fun. I mean, I get it. They had lost, but man, well, ModernUro, that's the risk you run, unfortunately. So we did get 5 that game. We were about to get a lot more, but unfortunately it didn't happen. Let's go ahead and jump into game 3. All right, guys, here we are for our 3rd and final game. ModernUro, again, I just want to say a huge thank you to you, my friend. This has been a really fun deck, actually. Interesting for sure, but we'll talk about that afterwards. I don't love this hand. The double Brainstorm is nice, but we've got no shuffles. I'm gonna mulligan. And actually, okay, I really like this hand. So this has a lot of early interaction. It does have a few tapped lands potentially with Valakut Awakening and then the Triome, but the Triome does give us white right off the bat, which is very, very helpful. And I actually think, is it Seagate Restoration? I think it is Seagate Restoration that we're gonna throw back here. We'll throw out the Raugrin Triome first. That's just going to give us all the colors of mana that we could possibly need, and then we've got Valakut Awakening on the land side to make sure that we hit turn 3. Now, if we draw a land, we'll probably play that over the Valakut Awakening just because we don't really want to lose that card if we don't have to, but we are against what I'm assuming will be an aggro-y style deck with Lurrus here. That's kind of the assumption, but we'll see. They're leading on a Fabled Passage, so good news is we're not going to just lose out this super early. All right, let's go ahead and do this. And I think we just pass here. We do have Opt Up, of course, which is great, but very interested to see what they get with this Fabled Passage. Black. Okay. I mean, fair enough. Makes sense. Let's see what they got, guys. Also, if you guys really enjoy these challenge weeks, please let me know in the comment section down below. These are really fun, in my opinion. It's a really good way, I think, just to highlight you guys. But I'm really curious to know what y'all's thoughts are. I know the people that usually participate seem to really enjoy it, and it's great to see that. But for everybody else, I know there's not... I want to make sure everybody is enjoying it, is the takeaway. So let's do this. The trick is, what do we want to do here? And let's just read. Okay. I think the play before they can counter anything is going to be to do this. So we're going to target this, and we're going to target me. And then we're going to discard both of these. So that's pretty good. That gets both of the chances in the graveyard, and also gets rid of the Thieves Guild Enforcer, which is just a very problematic card. This is obviously Rogue's Mill. I'm expecting some number of counters, and so doing that on a turn where they don't have available mana seems very, very crucial. It also just slows down their mill clock. I mean, they could very easily have more here, but and they can replay it with Lurrus, but that's going to take at least 2 turns. So I'm not terribly worried about that. At the moment, we're just going to push through as best we can. All right. So we can play Narset. And then just kind of see what we get. We could also play land and then Chance or Valakut Awakening. I think I like playing Narset down here first, though. I'm expecting, again, a counter. Yeah, okay. And that's fine, but at the very least, we know they didn't really have much else, so that's good. Let's go ahead and play this. We can Brainstorm with this if we'd like, maybe in response to their attack, and then mill a card that we don't really care about. They could also counter the Brainstorm, though I doubt that's really the best play. But they very easily could. They've got one Drown in the Lock in the graveyard, so we're assuming that they've got more, obviously. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this now then. This is just going to allow us to get rid of, if they let this resolve, this gets rid of a card that we don't particularly care about. Okay, interesting. So I think we put you and we put you back, with that one being on top. I don't particularly care about the Fabled Passage. It's about to get milled here. That just gets rid of it. And we do have a Prismari Command available at this point. So the question is, do we want to use it? We could have actually Raugrin Triomed, but do we want to use it, or do we want to wait and see what they do? They have 4 mana available. I think the play is just to wait. In response to something that they do, we might just kill the Merfolk Windrobber here. And it looks like... Okay, so they can just sacrifice it to draw a card if they'd like. We're going to let it hit. But this is going to give us hopefully a turn of basically free play, where if they do counter the Prismari Command, we at least know that they probably can't counter much else, unless they just have double Drown in the lock, which is very sad for us, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and do this now. Gonna deal 2 damage. Gonna draw and discard. Let's deal here. They sacrifice this in response. I actually don't know. That could just fizzle the Prismari Command. Okay, they had a Drown in the lock. Fair enough. So what are the chances they have another one is the worry here. So the play is definitely Valakut Awakening, but we can only really... I mean, I don't want to discard this Memory Lapse, I'll be honest. I just don't. I feel like that's a bad card to discard here. For this reason. I'm going to counter the Drown in the lock. We could have let it resolve, I guess, but it's fine. Alright. That does just go on top of their deck. We're just going to discard 1 and draw 2. Which does mean we've drawn 3 cards this turn, worth noting. Do we have any basics? We hopefully do. I have no idea. Not counting. Yeah, cool. So that is 3 cards this turn so far. But this is a tough one against a draw deck. This has been kind of surprising. I did want to talk about this a little bit. It's been a little surprising how difficult it is to just draw a lot. I feel like that's been just harder than I necessarily expected. Okay, they do have Drown in the lock. Let's do this. I'm assuming they just counter this. They're not. Okay, cool. I really wish we had another Narset, honestly. I'm gonna cycle this. Narset plus memory is just ridiculous. You cycle away their hand, basically, and then they've got nothing. Heartwarming Redemption, huh? ModernUro, I like your deck building style, my friend. It's very fun. It's a very interesting build, and it's very all-in, and I feel like it could go over the top, but I think this is a very prime example, and by no means do I mean this as a criticism, ModernUro, so please don't take it that way, but I think the trick is also then being able to still like put forth a decent game plan that can kind of keep people in the game. And I think the problem with this is very, very, very slight. I don't think this is a big issue, but I think we knew they were going to counter that, by the way. I think the trick here is that like we don't have much of a game plan to deal with the opponents. And so we're either going to lose probably pretty quickly, or we're going to go over the top. And I think we saw that in game 2, we were able to draw or get to a point where we were probably going to be able to draw quite a bit, but unfortunately weren't able to 100% get there solely because, you know, the opponent didn't really have a good option, so they just kind of gave up. Let's do this. See what happens. This is instant speed, worth noting, but they've only got 1 mana available. I mean, I guess Spell Pierce is a thing. Interesting. Okay. So we do have the Memory Lapse here. We got to draw a few cards here, but I mean, I think we're still at, I think that was 4 in total then. I'm gonna Memory Lapse this. I really hate Ruin Crab. It's a very frustrating card to deal with. So I'm gonna go ahead and just Memory Lapse it just for the sake of Memory Lapsing. We can Memory at some point here, which is probably not a bad play, but I'm expecting that we're gonna run into some issues. But that does shuffle their graveyard in, which is pretty good. It also shuts down Lurrus a little bit here, so that could be helpful. And it would shut down the Gargoyle. They do have 2 mana available, but you know what? We're here to do it. Let's try it. I'm assuming they counter this. No, they don't. All right, cool. So we drew 7 plus 1, which is pretty awesome. We then get to do this, and we'll do an opt here. I mean, that was pretty good. We got 9 in that turn. 7, 8, 9, yeah. Well, assuming that opt resolves, that would be 9, which it did. So there we go. I'm gonna actually discard that. Oh, actually, no, that was a mistake. We could have played Narset and then done that. I guess that doesn't help too much. We really want commit to memory is the big one. But crucially, this Gargoyle can't attack now, which is helpful, kind of. There's the Ruin Crab. That's a little scary. They do have the Zagoth Triome. I wonder why they have Zagoth Triome. I got a Narset with that. That's a little scary. Good news is if they do mill commit to memory, then we just get to play it. So again, ModernUro, a really great part of your build that I love a lot is that against mill decks like these, a lot of the cards that you're running have Aftermath, and so it actually kind of works out. The only thing I would suggest is we need like a sweeper. We need to be able to deal with these. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would service the deck very, very well and keep us in the game long enough to make sure that we can get the game plan going. But regardless, still a very fun deck, and unfortunately this does get to attack again. And they get the buff. Scary stuff. Yeah, I think we're just going to be dead next turn, but you know what? I'm still really into this. I like this deck a lot. So, what can we do? What can we do? I mean, we're dead next turn, right? Regardless. So, let's be the cool player. Let's do this. And we're just going to discard our whole hand. Nope, we're not. All right. In that case, Just gonna Prismari Command here. We'll deal 2 damage to something, and we'll draw 2. 2 damage here, and then do this. They obviously are just gonna sacrifice this, I assume, and then we draw like 3 cards, but we are dead, unfortunately. Wow, all lands too. That's kind of surprising. All right, so they just attack this coming turn. I'm gonna go ahead and concede, and we will talk about your deck, ModernUro. All right, so first and foremost, ModernUro, as well as Spinoraptor and Breaded and Fried, and I believe Death's Ace actually submitted a deck as well. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to have such a dedicated group who basically always submits a deck. It's really, really fun. But ModernUro, let's talk about your deck for a minute. So one thing I would suggest is when you are running Fabled Passages, while you did have some basics, so keeping in mind that it did have targets. There were, obviously, in game 1, we had the occasion where we didn't really have an option to pull. That was honestly more down to luck than deck building. What I would suggest, though, is that because we were running white as well, that you at least include 1 planes that we can pull out with the Fabled Passage as well, and that just allows access. So just as a little deck building tip, it's nothing major, obviously, it worked out okay, but just something to think about. ModernUro, unfortunately, we didn't get there. We did get pretty close, though. In game 1, 15 cards in a turn. That's pretty solid. So well done. That was really sick. I love your deck building style. I think it's very all in. I think what we like in your specific case, I think just working on like the general game plan is probably an okay tip. Just having some sweepers in that would have been so helpful, just to make sure we weren't going to outright lose the game. That being said, all in all, very, very sick. And ModernUro, thank you again. Really do appreciate it, my friend. But all of this means Spinoraptor, you're the winner, my friend. You have won, I believe, 3 times now. So congratulations to you. You won with 18 cards drawn in a single turn. We will be sending that proxy pack out to you very, very soon, probably this weekend. So thank you very, very much. Guys, as a quick reminder, next week's challenge is Obscure Tribes, and we are basing this off of the number of wins. Now, when I say Obscure Tribes, I'm not talking about elves or goblins or anything that we normally see on the historic ladder. I'm looking for things like whales, like Ruin Crab Tribal, like literal crab tribal. I'm looking for silly stuff. So please take that into consideration when you are building your decks. There are a lot of fun little tribes out there that we don't normally see, and I will be using my best judgment on those. If you do not see your deck, I apologize. Don't take it offensively, but obviously we do have to make sure that Obscure Tribe is as fair as possible. So all that to say, I cannot wait to see your submissions. I wish you all the very best. As a reminder, we may be streaming this weekend. I'm going to give it a shot. That may even be this evening. It would be late, but we'll see. But regardless, I am going to give it a shot, and we've got some really cool decks to play. So thank you guys again. I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you on Monday for the start of the new challenge week.